And joining me right now is Farhan Masood, who's the founder of Solo Insight, and Carter Kennedy, who's the CEO. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me.
Thank you.
How you guys doing?
Great.
All right. I know that you have a history with VOA, which is a positive history. Tell us a little bit about that.
So it's June 23, 1997, when Voice of America introduced me as the originator of Urdu, Arabic, and Persian languages on internet. And that had a significant influence on my career throughout. So a lot of coverage in Pakistan and in the Middle East ended up getting in high positions both in Pakistan government as well as in Dubai government, which was related to the direct language development in those countries.
What is this company Solo Insight, and how did you start this? I remember talking to you earlier that you were sitting watching a movie and this idea came to you. Tell us a little bit about that.
I was watching a movie with one of my friend called Minority Report, and there are a lot of ideas that actually struck our mind by looking at different visual recognition techniques that were used in that movie. And that is when we decided that using my experience as a visual recognition, that I have developed the OCR for Arabic language, and I had developed the number plate recognition systems earlier. And we were working on a fingerprint algorithm, and we thought that it'll be a extremely interesting experience to create technology which can recognize somebody walking in a store, and the store manager who has never met him knows what they have bought in the past, and they are greeted by their names. And that could have an extreme influence on people in actually retail sector.
If I were to concise it down, what you're saying is that you are the man behind developing these algorithms or this facial recognition system, which might be beneficial for companies and countries, governments around the world.
The number of wins that Farhan has in international competition, which now tallies 31, he has won many different, very competitive competitions around the world. And the last one that he won was a competition called the EDP Award at MIT. And it was against 167 competitors, and he came out first. That was a platform not only for IBM to look over the business plan and assert and confirm that this was a very special company that had great technology and was the most business-ready company in the competition. That propelled him to come to the United States. We formed an alliance about 1.5 years ago. We've done our due diligence. We recognize that the problems that we're solving currently offshore are the same problems that exist onshore. All we're doing is geographically relocating the solution to the United States, Canada, and Mexico.
Did you know that he was refused for a U.S. visa first?
I think that's probably too tall. You don't need another basketball player.
I can actually give a little bit of my experience. As entrepreneurs in Pakistan, we are not given that much opportunity or access to the capital. Most of us are bootstrapping and struggling, and we don't even get jobs in states that openly in comparison to India due to our security brotherhood. So that actually leads us to actually a level of frustration that we want to do, and we want to do better. And there's a lot of challenges that we fight every day. And one of them is to actually get a visa, even if it's a visit visa. So the first time I had an investor who actually sent me a letter saying that I'm going to put $1 million in your company. I have certain other decision makers who can't fly down to Pakistan. We have an annual meeting. Can you join in and just apply for the visa? So I went into the Islamabad embassy. I don't really challenge the system or do anything, but I say that it becomes challenging for us when we are given a refusal. So I was told that you can leave the embassy. We don't want to do business with Pakistan. I think that was a tough sentence. I was really disheartened. I thought that I have no chance, to even have an American dream. But later on, there is one gentleman who actually helped me get enrolled into the MIT business plan competition. That actually later, I was actually sent an invitation by MIT that was not refused, and I eventually was in States.
And that's how you guys found out about Farhan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I met Farhan and saw the technology, saw the business plan, saw the blue chip clients, and recognized that there's an incredible opportunity. We have a perfect fertile landscape to bring this technology here and put it into manufacturing plants. We spent the last a little bit over a year doing due diligence and research, and we've just been raising capital the last couple of months. But we've had great receptivity, we have great partnerships, we have several LOIs in place, and we're moving fast.
But Carter, isn't it kind of strange that, a part of the world like Pakistan, for example, a lot of the critics say that you have a bunch of camel jockeys in Pakistan, but now we have this gentleman from Pakistan who's introducing this technology to the US, which hasn't been implemented in America, which is the leader of the technological world.
So it's very interesting. And so I come from Chicago, and so Chicago has beautiful suburbs, and it has gorgeous parts of the city, and then it has the south side and the west side, and that is gang-ridden and very violent. And if we as a country were perceived only as what the things that take place on the south side of Chicago, no one would visit the United States. So the way that Pakistan is viewed and covered is they take the extremist areas and look at the most violent, awful circumstances, and that's what's reported. They don't report the fact that the culture aggressively embraces higher education, that they have very strong nuclear families. They're very hardworking people, great infrastructure. So part of my due diligence process before we went to investors was to spend over 2 weeks in Pakistan. We drove and moved 1,280 miles. We went to 27 of our different customers and facilities in 12 different cities. And I was more than pleasantly surprised with the infrastructure, the receptivity that I had, the impressive nature of the people that I met, very hardworking, very intelligent. There's not a lot, some of the distractions that you have in the United States are not some of the distractions you have in Pakistan. And I just found that there's a great support system from families. And I'm very pleased that a lot of our workforce is in Pakistan, and I'll be going back there in the next 6 weeks to help build that part of the business out in that part of the world.
That's amazing. You were in Karachi and you were in Lahore, and nobody tried to hurt you.
No, I mean, the only thing that tried to hurt me is the fact that the food is so luscious and beautiful that I gained about 10 pounds eating everything that comes with bread and sauce, and lovely.
How's been your journey? I mean, if you look back from where you started off and now here, how does it feel to look back?
It's amazing. I think it's a life-changing experience. Especially the people in the United States are so supportive, and that was shockingly surprised. I was shockingly surprised with the level of support that people extend, and they're not only just American people. Anyone who's living in America is supportive, and this is a culture where entrepreneurship fosters, and this is what we actually, what entrepreneurs or technologists or scientists are usually looking is a little pat on their back and some hope. So I will actually give you one of the first times that I've been given exposure to United States was through an organization called CRDF Global. They have Global Innovation Through Science and Technology Initiative, and that was an award, a competition that was held in Turkey, in Istanbul. And that is the first time that I was actually, participated in an American competition, and I was one of the winners. The award was given by the Vice President, Joe Biden. And there are a couple of people who really helped me and gave me hope. Was one of them is Jeff Hoffman. He's been a great mentor. And then there is Jeff Margolis, is now in Chicago. And these are the people who actually really helped me build. I was hopeless while I was in Pakistan. I thought it's like everyone doesn't want my technology, and I do not stand a chance in bigger companies. But it's the one thing that I do have a quality of Pakistani that I don't give up, and I kept trying on, and with the help of the little hope that the Americans has extended to me, and the reception, as well as the knowledge, the system. The system helps you to innovate and to create. I don't know why somebody in America would not, succeed. They have everything which is required to be successful.
Fantastic. This is the success story of Pakistani-American friendship. How did you guys manage to raise the capital? $3 million is what you've raised for Solo Insight, and specifically for the infrared technology, the facial recognition technology. You've raised $3 million.
Right.
So how was that possible?
Well, so there's a long history of hard work. So Farhan's been working on this for 9.5 years. It's a very interesting history. He's one of the top technologists in Pakistan. Again, 31 international awards, patents, intellectual property. We're an intellectual property creation factory. Here's a circumstance where we have Pepsi and McDonald's and Nestle as our clients offshore. We have blue chip clients and a technology which has application to manufacturing plants. So it's 3D facial and iris recognition. Also we have palm vein, so all non-invasive recognition techniques. They work with a smart gate that integrates with all the different software modules that you need to manage a large workforce, time and attendance, payroll, compliance, all wrapped up into one. So instead of using one or two different vendors and cobbling a system together, you can buy our one system. It has great application to Pepsi bottling plants as an example. Or if you think about the Midwest, in the last 3 or 4 years since we've come out of that financial dip, much labor is coming back to the Midwest, back to the heartland, back to the Rust Belt. And we're part of that resurgence of success for the United States. So if you think about it, you marry Pakistan and the United States, you marry Lahore and Chicago, you marry warehouses and their need for technology with the technologist. It's a wonderful, wonderful symbiotic relationship, and we're getting great receptivity in the Midwest.
So you're talking about creating jobs both in America and in Pakistan because both of you are coming together. So it's like a merger of two countries to help create jobs in both countries.
Well, think about, if you think about the best way for countries to get along, it's when they have a sticky relationship. And if it's mutually beneficial, that's what both of our governments would like to see, is the knowledge of what the culture in Pakistan truly looks like, not as it's viewed through the media, which sensationalize everything that happens in the States or in Pakistan. We don't have a true view of what you're doing, but if we have ambassadors like Farhan Masood come to the United States and they can see what a wonderful, intelligent person he is, and understand that technology and warehouses go together perfectly, and the Midwest and Lahore go together, it's a match made in heaven.
There is Islamophobia in the US and in a greater part of the world, but there's also Pakistan phobia. When you went to Pakistan, how was your reaction?
I think in general, we're fortunate because people struggle to get a perception of what Americans are all about. So our perception might be the movies you see. You might think that we're all Sylvester Stallones or we're all some big action hero, and that's not the case. Or we're professional football players or professional basketball players. So no one knows, we don't have a sense of each other's culture. In general, the Muslim culture is very peaceful and it's very responsible, and I think it's very supportive. And so the Christian culture, we all come from Abraham. It's a very illuminating to have a chance to understand what happens in the Muslim faith. And so it's been a wonderful beginning of a journey for us in terms of understanding each other's cultures. I've met Farhan's father and his mother and his beautiful 10-year-old daughter. And now we've kind of formed an allegiance, cross countries in terms of our families knowing one another.
You have a fantastic CEO, by the way, well informed about Pakistan, but there's also a lot of anti-US sentiment in Pakistan, even though so much of funding has gone in helping building schools and education and what have you, and yet the anti-US sentiments in Pakistan is highest ever. How was your reaction coming to US and working with people, working with Americans? Is it different from what you were told? Or
I think the moment you're out of the airport, this is a total different world, and that is also surprising. It's like if the government of United States is perceived by the embassy in Pakistan, the way they actually perform, it's like that impacts the influential or psychological impact on human mind. And What I think is that, again, the data collection numbers can be different, because obviously not all the 200 million people been interviewed to know their sentiments. And then there are sentiments which are actually given with peer pressure, that, it's like if there is a group, 200 people say that, we are anti-America, and, if I say that I am not, I'm actually forced to say, yes, I am also anti. So it's like, if you look at the opportunity, I really believe one thing about Pakistan is that if everyone is given an opportunity to come to the United States, everyone will be here.
What would be your message to young Pakistanis in Pakistan who might have a future, not just in America, but anywhere in the world?
I would tell each and every child in Pakistan to respect their parents, embrace education, and that chance favors the most prepared minds. So work harder than everyone else and you'll be successful.
Okay. And if I were to ask you, what would be your message to all the young Americans watching you?
I would say that, you are born with the greatest opportunity on earth. This opportunity does not exist anywhere in the world. And, do not lose this opportunity. Do not waste time. And you have, everything in place to be successful. All you need is to do a bit of hard work and stay focused and never give up.
Well, good luck to you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for taking the time out, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.